June 6, 1944, a date forever etched in the annals of history. Yet behind the numbers, the maps, and the statistics lies a story far deeper, far more human, and far more harrowing than most could ever imagine. This is the story of D-Day, not just as a military operation, but as the crucible in which courage, fear, and the human spirit were tested to their limits. The world was at war, a war unlike any before. Cities burned, nations fell, and millions of lives were caught in the relentless tide of violence. Europe had endured years of occupation, oppression, and unimaginable suffering. The Allies knew that to turn the tide, a strike had to be bold, decisive, and seemingly impossible. And so they conceived Operation Overlord, the liberation of Western Europe from the grip of Nazi Germany. The plan was audacious. Thousands of ships, tens of thousands of soldiers, aircraft, and tanks were marshaled across the English Channel. The beaches of Normandy, Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword would become the epicenters of history. But to understand D-Day, one must look beyond the maps and strategies. One must look at the men who would fight, bleed, and die on those sands. Consider Charles Durning, barely 21, yet already seasoned by the harsh realities of war. He would land on Omaha Beach, the bloodiest of them all, and face a hell that few could imagine. Machine gun fire tore through the surf. Explosions shattered the morning calm. Men screamed, fell, and disappeared beneath the tide, yet they kept moving forward. Each step was a battle, each breath a triumph of will. Durning would survive, but countless others would not, their names and faces fading into the anonymous shadows of history. The beaches were defended with ruthless precision. German bunkers bristled with weapons, firing upon anything that dared approach. The sand, soft and innocuous in appearance, became a deadly trap. Craters from previous bombardments created obstacles, and the tide itself was an enemy, dragging men into the sea as they struggled under the weight of their gear. Yet despite the terror, despite the staggering odds, the soldiers pressed on. Their courage was raw, unpolished, and profoundly human. But D-Day was not only about soldiers. It was also about ingenuity, deception, and the invisible forces that shaped the outcome. The Allies had undertaken one of the most complex deception campaigns in history, Operation Fortitude North, designed to mislead the Germans about the invasion site. Dummy tanks, fake radio traffic, and double agents painted a picture of an attack at Pas de Calais, drawing enemy attention away from Normandy. Without this deception, the cost of D-Day would have been unimaginably higher. And then there were the paratroopers, dropped behind enemy lines in the darkness before dawn. Men like John Steele, who landed atop the church in Sainte-Marie-Église, caught on the steeple as bullets whizzed past, dangling in midair, alone, terrified, yet still alive. Their mission was to disrupt, confuse, and hold positions until the sea-borne forces could arrive. Their bravery is often overshadowed by the chaos of the beaches, yet without them, the entire operation might have faltered. The human stories of D-Day are endless, each one a testament to resilience and sacrifice. There was the medic, running into the crossfire to pull the wounded from the sand, ignoring the screams of battle to save one more life. There was the commander, making split-second decisions under unbearable pressure, knowing that a single miscalculation could doom thousands. And there were the countless soldiers who simply kept moving forward, step by step, driven by duty, fear, and the faint hope of seeing another day. Omaha Beach, the symbol of the assault, was a place of unimaginable horror. Men fell in waves, carried away by the surf or crushed beneath barbed wire. Yet amid the chaos, small acts of heroism emerged. Soldiers helped one another over obstacles, shared their last rations, and offered words of encouragement in the most desperate of circumstances. Courage was not a grand gesture here. It was the quiet, persistent determination to survive and to fulfill a mission far greater than oneself. The air was thick with smoke and the roar of artillery. Bombs from the Allied fleet pounded German positions, yet the defenders held. The beach seemed endless, and yet inch by inch it was won. Tanks pushed forward, soldiers charged, and paratroopers secured key positions inland. The operation was a tapestry of chaos and order, bravery and tragedy, meticulously planned yet profoundly unpredictable. Meanwhile, across the other beaches, similar stories unfolded. At Utah Beach, troops faced fortified positions but encountered lighter resistance than expected, allowing for rapid advancement inland. At Gold, Juno, and Sword, British and Canadian forces fought fiercely, securing crucial bridges and towns. Every success was paid for with human life. Every victory was shadowed by loss. And yet, the momentum was unstoppable. Beyond the physical struggle, D-Day was a psychological battle. Soldiers had to confront the enormity of what lay ahead, to move against fear itself. The night before the invasion, letters were written, prayers whispered, and memories clung to as shields against despair. Some wrote to loved ones who might never read the words. Some simply closed their eyes, steeling themselves for the storm. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. By the end of June 6th, the Allies had secured a tenuous foothold in Normandy. Thousands lay dead or wounded, and yet the tide of war had turned. The beaches, soaked in blood and sacrifice, were the first step toward the liberation of Europe. It was the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany, a testament to strategic planning, courage, and the indomitable human spirit. But the true story of D-Day extends beyond the battlefield. It is found in the faces of the survivors, in the letters they wrote home, and in the quiet moments of reflection when the guns fell silent. It is found in the towns liberated, the lives saved, and the freedom reclaimed.
The legacy of D-Day is profound. It reminds us that history is shaped not only by leaders and plans, but by ordinary individuals who rise to extraordinary challenges. It teaches that bravery is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. And it offers a timeless lesson that the human spirit, when united in purpose, can overcome even the darkest of times. Today, we remember the men who stormed the beaches, the paratroopers who leapt into uncertainty, and the countless others who played their part in this monumental day. We remember the sacrifices, the tears, the courage, and the hope, and we honor them not just as soldiers, but as humans who faced the abyss and dared to step forward. D-Day was more than a military operation. It was a crucible of human endurance, a defining moment in world history, and a testament to the power of courage, strategy, and unity. The beaches of Normandy will forever echo with the footsteps of those who fought, the cries of those who fell, and the triumph of those who survived. The story of D-Day is untold not because it is unknown, but because its true essence, the fear, the hope, the sacrifice, cannot be captured in numbers or dates. It lives in the memories of those who were there and in the legacy they left behind. It is a story of ordinary men achieving the extraordinary, of the human spirit refusing to yield, and of a world forever changed by a single extraordinary day. As we reflect on D-Day, we must remember that history is not only recorded in books and archives, but in the courage of individuals who, against all odds, chose to act. Their courage shaped the course of nations, and their sacrifices remind us that freedom is not given, it is earned. So the next time we speak of D-Day, let us not speak only of strategies and outcomes. Let us speak of men like Charles Durning, of paratroopers dangling from steeples, of medics running into the crossfire, and of countless souls who faced fear and chose to fight. Let us remember that history is not only about what was won or lost, but about the human stories that made the victory possible. June 6, 1944 was more than a date. It was the heartbeat of courage, the pulse of sacrifice, and the dawn of a world changed forever. This is the untold story of D-Day, the day that changed the world, not only on maps and in books, but in the hearts and minds of all who bore witness, who fought, and who survived. And though decades have passed, the echoes of that day still resonate, a timeless reminder that when humanity is tested, some will rise, some will fall, but all will leave an indelible mark on history. D-Day reminds us that ordinary people can achieve the extraordinary, that bravery can emerge in the darkest hours, and that the world, forever changed, owes its freedom to those who dared to step onto the beaches and into history.